If you are barely eating and still struggling to lose weight and the scale isn't moving, you're probably thinking, I'm going to eat a little less. No, don't do that. I'm Parastoo. I'm a nutrition and fitness coach, and I've been doing this work for over a decade. Now, time and time again, I've had this conversation with many clients. And ironically, the fix is the opposite of what you might think. So, we've been told eat less, move more, weight loss. Yes, but weight loss is not just a simple subtraction problem. Especially for the context of this video, if you have been in back-to-back competition cycles or months to years of chronic dieting, you're essentially training your physiology to be really efficient at holding on to energy. And your metabolism didn't break, didn't stop working. Actually, it adapted to exactly what you gave. Okay, I'm gonna expand on that in a second. But first I wanna review a term just to make sure we're all on the same page. Your BMR, your basic metabolic rate, what is that? It's the baseline. It is the bare minimum amount of energy that we need to exist and function. I wanted to take a moment to talk about this first because when we were talking about a caloric deficit, it's really important that the deficit takes into consideration your BMR, because if it is an extreme, that's going to have other consequences. But we do need to understand our starting point in order for me to describe the next term, which is what this video is about. So when you consistently are eating less, your body reduces how much energy it burns to match your intake. And that is called a metabolic downregulation. Okay, cool. What do I do with this information, P2? I want to go through 3 points that you would notice, like what this actually feels or looks like in your life. First, that would be a drop in NEAT. NEAT is a non-exercise activity thermogenesis. As you can see, I speak with my hands. I'm a little fidgety, so there might be a reduction in your fidgeting. Essentially, your body's just trying to conserve energy. Maybe you're not doing it on purpose, but obviously your body is. That's number one. Then, where you would really notice this shift is in training itself, your training output. If you're still showing up and you're going through the motions, but you might notice that you don't really have the capacity to keep pushing, like there is, your strength has plateaued, you're really struggling, maybe you're not recovering, maybe you are extra sore. Also, consideration here is, I don't mean like one session being hard at the gym. For the context of this particular video, we're looking at, hey, maybe days or weeks that you're just on the struggle bus. And then another, the consequences of stress. So dieting itself is a physiological stressor. And so is training, so is life, so is whatever else. And the longer you are in a caloric deficit, the more stress you're putting on your body. And the stress can spike cortisol. Cortisol can have water retention, and that is also what can be reflected on the scale. And one thing also that makes all of this even more challenging is when they say like diets don't work. Because there is a drift in adherence. It's just hard to adhere. The longer that you stay in a low deficit, the harder it is to stick to. So that's why I wanted to talk about your BMR and your starting point in the first place. If you are doing something very intentional, like a very aggressive deficit that is controlled for a couple days, that's not what we're talking about here. I'm talking about if you've been really dieting for weeks or months and you're just like stuck. And why are you stuck? Have you truly done everything? Maybe not, just because it wasn't sustainable. And if we're doing the low calories already and then you want to lower it more, you won't be able to adhere to that. That's just, something's gonna give. Eventually, it's going to happen. And you really started doing all of this because you had weight loss goals in the first place. And unfortunately, it's moving you away from the goal that you had. Okay, so what do we do about it? My groundbreaking answer. Can you guess? Eat more. Strategically though, essentially we're doing something called reverse dieting. You're increasing your calories, your macronutrients, your protein, your fat, your carbs, your energy intake on purpose the other direction. So where you lowered, you're now increasing. And maybe it's by 200 to 300 calories at a time. It really depends on your exact situation. So I'm going to refrain from giving you exact numbers, but you're slowly starting to increase over days and weeks. As you increase your intake, your metabolism now up regulates to match your energy intake. And that's when the weight actually starts to move again. So remember when I said at the beginning that it's probably the opposite of what you think? This is what I meant. You wanted to eat less because, of course, eat less, move more, weight loss. And I'm literally telling you the opposite. This isn't always the answer, but for the purposes of this particular conversation, as if you've been chronically dieting for weeks to months, up regulating your metabolism by reverse dieting is what we're focusing on. If you are struggling with weight loss, it could potentially be, of course, underlying health considerations or hormones, but that is not in my scope. And if you find that to be the situation you're in, then I strongly recommend that you speak to your medical professional. If you found this useful, please subscribe. I will be dropping one video every week. Thank you.